Good evening. There comes a time in our lives when we all have to stand up for something important and push back. We have to speak up, speak out, and hold elected politicians accountable for their actions. For us, that time is now. You know why the rape and murder of the 8-year-old girl in Kathua is so gut-wrenching? Not only because she was drugged, gang-raped and had her head smashed in, but also because politicians, ministers of the BJP, leaders of even the Congress party were backing the men who did this to her. And finally tonight, after days of silence, the Prime Minister has spoken, promising justice. And the two BJP ministers who attended a rally backing the accused in Jammu and Kashmir earlier this year have been forced to resign.
पिछले 2 दिन से जो घटनाएं चर्चा में है, वो निश्चित रूप से किसी भी सभ्य समाज के लिए शोभा नहीं देती है, ये शर्मनाक है। मैं देश को विश्वास दिलाना चाहता हूं कि कोई अपराधी बचेगा नहीं, न्याय होगा और पूरा होगा। उन बेटियों के साथ जो जुल्म हुआ है, उन बेटियों को न्याय मिल के रहेगा।
Well, that's what the Prime Minister said a little while earlier. Earlier today, the Supreme Court also stepped in, saying that lawyers cannot obstruct the process of law and that what the Jammu Bar Association has been doing is a violation of access to justice. The court was hearing a petition filed by a group of lawyers who are seeking action against the bar, which tried to obstruct the filing of the charge sheet in the rape and murder of this child. The case will now be heard in court on the 19th of April, that's next week. For the little girl's family, however, there is only fear and heartbreak.
Trekking through the mountains, a few hours from Jammu, we finally found the family of the 8-year-old girl who was brutally raped and killed. For the girl's parents, the last few days since the charge sheet was made public have been extraordinarily difficult. Fearing for their safety, they moved out of their village.
ना ना उधर क्या क्यों उधर जिधर हमारी लड़की के साथ हंसता उधर क्या करेंगे जाके।
These are the girl's biological parents, but she was actually adopted by her mother's brother when she was a baby. The uncle had lost 3 children in a road accident. Today, the entire family is shattered as it fights for justice.
उनका काम उधर जाती नहीं थी, आती नहीं थी, वो उनकी चोरी नहीं करती थी और काक नहीं, छोटा बच्चा था, 8 साल की बच्ची थी। इंसाफ ये दूसरा हमारी बच्ची साथ के उनके साथ भी यही कर।
The brutality of the crime so stark. Not only was this 8-year-old raped and murdered, but the locals didn't even allow the family to bury her in the village.
वहाँ पे जो लोग थे उन्होंने दफनाने भी नहीं दिया। क्यों, क्या हुआ?
वो इसी वजह से गुस्सा आ गया उनको। फिर वो डेड बॉडी लाया हमने और जो रास्ता था रास्ते में आने जाने भी नहीं देने दी।
क्या बोल रहे थे?
हाँ चलो यहाँ क्या है, भागो इधर।
In Jammu, one of the 2 BJP ministers who had supported the accused in a rally earlier this year today said he had been misunderstood.
आप क्यों कठुआ गए और क्यों आपने हिंदू एकता मंच की रैली में हिस्सा लिया?
जब वहाँ पर कुछ टेंशन बनी हुई थी तो हम लोग वहाँ पर इसलिए गए कि इसको डिफ्यूज किया जाए।
आपने कहा कि ये कोई जंगल राज यहाँ पे नहीं चलेगा, सीबीआई की जांच होनी चाहिए।
कि यही दुर्भाग्य है कि जो बात एक पकड़ी जाती है बीच में से, उसको निकाल के मीडिया जब आगे ले जाता है, वो मेरे लिए बड़ा दुर्भाग्य है।
The Congress has also found itself on the back foot after it emerged that the man leading the Jammu bar strike was once Ghulam Nabi Azad's polling agent. Mr. Azad distanced himself from Salathia today.
चेयरमैन हैं बार काउंसिल के प्रेसिडेंट, वो मेरे इलेक्शन एजेंट थे। मोदी ने जो देश में हालात पैदा कर दिए, देश को धर्म के नाम पर बांटा, हिंदू और मुसलमान के बांट में, और उसी की नई पैदावार लाल सिंह और सलाथिया है।
They are well aware that politics is happening over this issue. They really don't know what's a CBI, what is crime branch. All they are asking that there should be a fair trial and action should be taken against the perpetrators of this heinous crime. In Udhampur with Amir Bhatt, Zafar Iqbal for NDTV.
Well, as we said, the big story that has emerged this evening also has been the fact that the 2 BJP ministers, including the gentleman you saw in the story there, have been forced to resign. They've submitted that resignation to their party chief, and the BJP is expected to forward those resignations to Mehbooba Mufti, the chief minister, over the weekend. Well, joining us on the program tonight, lawyer Vrinda Grover, who's of course been at the forefront of fighting for women's rights and justice in so many cases like this. She's here back with us in the studio. Actor Richa Chadha joins us tonight, and Richa has been very, very vocal online, on Twitter, on this particular case. Sushmita Dev is a Lok Sabha MP of the Congress party. She's with us. And let me just take this to you first, Richa, because it's actually been heartening to see in the last few days the reaction of people like yourselves. And, I see that you're, politically also very active. You're not scared to voice your opinion, but across the board, actors, people from the film fraternity have come out, and all of this really draws attention to the story, which is why I think it's important. Do you think that the BJP really underestimated the kind of public anger there is over these cases?
I don't know if that is the case. All I know is that there should not be any reason for us in the country to find out about this in such a manner almost 3 months after it has happened. So there's obviously been a cover-up, which is not fair. And I think that this case could be the tip of the iceberg in terms of what happens in the country to so many little kids in so many communities, and we all have to be wary. We cannot be diverted from human rights abuses like these. We cannot be diverted from sex crimes like these, and we should not tire of outraging. It's only when people come together in a coordinated effort can they hold their leaders responsible. And come on, it's 2018. Do we really deserve rapists in parliament? Why is the quality of our leadership such? And why does the state machinery then need to defend it?
Well said.
It's all very confusing to me.
No, well said. And actually, Vrinda, what Richa says there, that it's really about all of us coming out together and speaking out and holding elected politicians accountable. That is what seems to have happened. And this reminds me very much of what happened during the Nirbhaya time.
Yes.
Just tell me about that. And do you think, therefore, in that context, the Prime Minister's reaction has been enough?
Well, I think what we are seeing again is that
I think...
sorry, that question was for Vrinda here. She's here in the studio with us. Sorry, I'll just come back to you.
I think what we are seeing again,
sorry.
As you mentioned in 2012 very starkly and again now, is that the people of this country are saying we do not accept this kind of impunity for sexual violence, where any child, any girl, any woman, the Kathua Unnao case are before us just now, can be so, with such impunity sexual violence is perpetrated, and the entire process of justice and legal machinery just collapses because somebody in power is able to manipulate, whether on grounds of religion or being a politician or whatsoever. And it is really the anger which both the media and the people have shown as finding this crime unacceptable, which has compelled the politicians, all political parties, to now come forward. Insofar as the Prime Minister is concerned, his responsibility is obviously greater. It is the government in power, as well as in the 2 states where these incidents are taking place. I find the statement inspires absolutely no confidence. It gives no assurance to anybody. No right-minded citizen.
It's too generic.
Sorry?
It's too generic, you think?
It's saying we will, it first says, oh, some things have happened, these are uncivilized acts. The people know that. What is your role and responsibility? To say we will ensure that justice will follow. How? How will justice happen? Very often, Nidhi, you have done programs saying why is there no conviction? I think the Kathua and Unnao case tell us the story of impunity. There is impunity because the legal system and the machinery is manipulated by those in power. Those in power, whether because of social, economic, political, have the backing of political parties. They will ensure that justice is not done. So please don't tell us that justice will be done or that we will talk about death penalty. Let's talk about why there is this distortion. And there are people who have to be held accountable, people who have to be held responsible.
Well, in that context, Richa, were you as a citizen satisfied then with the Prime Minister's statement today where, Like I said, it was a very generic statement, but chalo, he said something. Vrinda's not satisfied with it. Were you? I would also, sort of stick my neck out here and say, why just get the J&K ministers to resign? Perhaps they should be suspended from the party completely. If you're serious about throwing these people out and holding them accountable,
remove from the party.
Remove them from the party.
Yes.
But what do you think, Richa? Did you feel it was enough?
I mean, for his own sake, for whatever drives this is behavior that needs to be, it's not behavior that you can reprimand and get away with. It has to be condemned and action has to be taken. And for the outrage that happened today, people need to understand that we need to rise above our party loyalties, so-called, because what are we allowing? Then, and I would love for it to have been more specific. And as we speak, I'm in Lucknow right now, and there is a case not too far from here, which is the Unnao case. So tell me, if there is truly a sex crime against somebody, does this inspire a sense of confidence in them to proceed with an investigation, to even report it?
Right.
And what is the message we are sending out to children? I mean, an 8-year-old in a temple, for all those that are making this a communal issue, are you not ashamed? Are you not outraged? And for everybody that writes on Twitter or just general whataboutery,
well,
sometimes it just takes that one case to bring everybody together. This could be the last straw.
Yeah, and well said. Those are armchair nationalists, by the way, on Twitter, fake nationalists. I've already given them a label.
The PM didn't say anything about the BJP MLA.
No, he didn't. I mean, he's spoken very generic terms.
He said there are two incidents that have been in discussion.
Yeah,
these are two very serious crimes.
Yeah.
And in one of them, your party MLA is an accused,
well,
not just in rape, but in murder.
Yeah.
And you can't just get away with making a generic statement around justice.
Well, Swara Bhaskar is with us tonight as well. And Swara, you, like Richa, have been very, very vocal on this issue online. All of you have been also part of a campaign for justice. Swara, are you satisfied? Do you think the Prime Minister's statement this evening really addresses anything? Does it satisfy you at all?
No, I don't think it's a question of satisfaction, Nidhi. I think that the very fact that it took so many days for the powers that be to break their silence is actually a very sad and state of affairs. It is, as Richa said, it is not something that inspires confidence at all in us as citizens of this country. I think that this government has to answer very seriously for the kind of climate of impunity for criminals that they have created, whether it is beef lynchers, whether it is people who set people on fire and record it, as happened in Rajasthan, or whether it's rapists, some of them from their own party, or rape supporters, as we have seen in Jammu. So I think that actually it's not enough to give statements. We have to really hold the government accountable for the climate that they have created, where criminals feel emboldened to do whatever they want and then say Jai Shri Ram or say Bharat Mata ki Jai Ho on top of that crime, and then people think that it will get covered up. Ministers from the government then come and support these criminals. So frankly, it seems to me that there is anarchy that is going on. It is shocking, it is very scary, and I think that this government really it is losing the moral right to govern this country very, very rapidly. So, I actually, I think satisfaction is the very last thing at this moment in our minds as people. I'm shocked, I'm horrified, and I'm absolutely ashamed of the society we've become.
Well, Swara, that's been very well articulated.
Because honestly, what do you expect? Because the kind of rhetoric that you...
Yeah, no, go ahead.
What do you expect when you have created a climate, and you with your party, your cadre, many, I'm sorry to say this, but many mainstream media channels, when you normalize a climate of hatred, of anti-minority sentiment, and I'm saying that it starts from something as small as running headlines that have tickers that say, does the azan invade privacy. I'm saying that it starts from something as small as that to how you represent certain communities, whether they are Dalits, whether they are Muslims. You create this climate where it's okay to hate on specific communities. Then this is the logical conclusion. This heinous, bestial act that has happened in Kathua, and also frankly what has happened in Unnao and the custodial death of the victim's kin. This is the logical end when you practice shamelessly a politics of hate. So I think that there is a lot that those who are in power have to answer for. It doesn't matter how many numbers you win elections by. Right is still right and wrong is still wrong. You can't keep, we live in this bizarre world of post-truth, as if election mandates will suddenly switch, what is right, what is basic humanity around completely. So I think that the most shameful thing in all this is not just the acts that have happened in Unnao and in Kathua, but the reactions that have happened, the rallies that have happened, the statements given by ministers, people in power, and also the fact that it took so many days for our leaders to break their silence. I think
I'm so glad you said it, Swara, because you've really summed up. You said a lot of things today, and bravo to you, for saying them. Because I just, want to take this to Sushmita first before I go to Pradeep. This what she's talked about, this normalization of hate, Sushmita. As a society, I think somebody wrote a really good piece today online saying it doesn't matter what Bollywood thinks, it doesn't matter what the politicians say, the PM or Rahul Gandhi or anyone else. It matters how we as a society react to horrific crimes like this. And if we allow the normalization of hate, then we have no one to blame but ourselves. Sushmita.
See, I'll have to agree with you there, Nidhi, because when someone is a victim of a heinous crime, like in Unnao or Kathua, or whether it is Haryana, wherever, doesn't matter where it is, we have to come together as citizens of the society, and especially people in the political class, and I'm one of them. We also have to show sensitivity, and the message for people in the government has to be zero tolerance. Because see, nobody can believe that in a country like ours, although we do have a lot of crime against women, but we'd like to believe that as a society, we cannot under any circumstances condone any violence against women. So we have to stand together without, I think, without playing a blame game. Like in the Nirbhaya case, Congress was completely in the dock, if you remember.
Yeah, of course.
Sheila Dikshit was the Chief Minister of Delhi and people were outraged. And there's a similar feeling that is there now in the public domain. And although there's a different party in power, but I think the common sentiment in Nirbhaya and today, both is the fact that people are upset with it. People are upset with it, and people will not accept such kind of violent acts against women, and that's what we need to, I think, remember and uphold right now.
So Pradeep Bhandari, Pradeep is a sympathizer and a supporter of the BJP. Pradeep, would you say that the BJP severely miscalculated public anger on this? I mean, when Smriti Irani was asked about this and she finally did speak today, she said, only she talked about the whole issue being politicized. Whereas she was very vocal when the Nirbhaya case happened and had really gone after the government then, saying that they need to speak up and stand up and be accountable, for what had happened at that time. And today it's politicization. When you do it, it's fine. But when others ask you, when the shoe's on the other foot, it's politicization. So was there a severe miscalculation of the anger?
See, at the outset, you've given everybody a chance. Allow me to also speak. I am with the BJP on certain issues. I'm not their complete sympathizer. I'm also a political analyst. I think that you should not look at rape from being a Hindu, Muslim or a political party. You should look at rapists as inhuman psychopaths and anti-national and anti-religious people that do not
But
deserve
they were supported by the BJP.
Impunity doesn't happen on its own.
Nidhi, you did not interrupt anybody. Please allow me to make my point in a fair and just manner like every other panelist
so
was
stop
allowed
distracting
to.
from the
Number two, I
serious
don't
issue.
understand where I don't understand where impunity is given. The Prime Minister speaks that this is something which will not be tolerated and complete justice is given. Brinda Grover ji sees that is this not
impunity
enough?
Is given when you wrap the accused of lynchers in a tricolor. That is when impunity is given. Impunity
We are
is given
not
when you
going to
file
buy
FIR
statements.
for people who murder people.
Pradeep Bhandari, the J&K ministers
are giving a vote of no
J&K
confidence.
the J&K ministers were forced to resign after 40 days. 40 days. It took 40 days. Let him
Why
answer.
are you spreading false? Let me get on this. Why are you spreading falsehood? That how is it impunity? The CBI is investigating it. The Supreme Court has taken cognizance of it. A special investigation team has been registered. The two J&K ministers have been made to resign. The Prime Minister
Forced
has
after public pressure.
Then how is it impunity, you tell
Let me explain impunity to you, young man.
Late.
And what about the visits of Assam and every other West? Why are we
This
selective about
whataboutery
how
will not do.
Don't even try this anymore with the people of this country, please. The women of this country are not going to be tossed between BJP and Congress. You need to understand how you have allowed this impunity to get entrenched.
But you cannot spread falsehood. Please, you cannot spread
You will
falsehood. How
stop
is it
doing
impunity
this to
when
us.
due process of law is
We are
taking
all
its
going
own
to
course?
sleep very
How is it
safely
impunity when the
because the
Prime
Prime
Minister is
Minister
speaking?
has
How
said
is it
so.
impunity when the CBI is investigating? How is it impunity when the ministers have resigned?
All right, let
Don't
me
spread
tell you if you will
falsehood.
stop
I also
screaming.
understand. How is it impunity when Section 376K, in which death sentence is given? Why don't you speak about the charge sheet? A rapist is a rapist. He's not a Hindu or Muslim. Why are we scoring brownie political points here?
Because
If the
Pradeep
Prime
Bhandari,
Minister
if
would
you
not
stop
speak,
screaming,
stop
one
speaking.
second, you will also, if you read the charge sheet carefully, this little girl was murdered because she was a Muslim, okay? There was a communal angle to the crime. One second, she was murdered because she was from a Muslim community, and you had two senior BJP ministers, actually three, there's one at the center also. One second, Pradeep, if you're going to keep shouting, there's no point, right? No, one second. The point is, for 40 days ago, Pradeep, I know the strategy normally is to keep yelling to drown out logic.
No, this is
So
not Hindu-Muslim.
it's not going to work.
No, absolutely this is not Hindu-Muslim.
No.
She
So
was
it took
raped,
40
she belonged
days
to
for those
Bakarwala
two
community.
ministers to
I don't
resign
want to get into
because
this.
of public
When I was a
pressure
study,
and public
she was
outrage.
raped by psychopaths. Why are you making it a Hindu-Muslim thing?
I'm
She was
not.
at all
It is
raped,
the party
it
you
was a
support
Muslim.
that made
She
it a
was
Hindu-Muslim
because
thing.
Psychopaths in this society rape
No,
her.
they
Let's
are not
punish them, let's give
psychopaths.
them death.
Rape
But
is
let's not
happening
make it
across this
Hindu-Muslim and
country.
criminalize it.
Stop
Sorry.
exceptionalizing them into
please?
psychopaths and calling them animals. That is how you create impunity.
I think the problem
you
here-
want to understand impunity? I will explain it to you.
No, one second. So Pradeep, one second.
Next,
Swara
you
wanted
will
to
call
come in.
them animals, and third, you will offer death sentence. These are the only three things you have in your pocket. You're out of all of them now. Enough.
Anti-religious, anti-social, anti-national.
Okay, Richa wants to say something.
Pradeep,
Pradeep, please stop shouting.
No. Spread falsehood, yeah. This is not done. This is an
There's
inhuman
no
matter.
falsehood
You are
here.
doing
Everybody knows the
brownie
facts.
political point.
Everybody knows the facts.
Has slipped.
No, prove it to me, madam. Sorry.
Okay,
I'm not a
okay.
but this
Can we,
is not
can
justice.
Pradeep,
Rape.
1 second, please.
I'm
1
also
second,
equally
hold on.
enraged.
Can we get Richa in?
No,
Richa
I'm
wants to
equally
say something.
enraged.
Pradeep, please don't
I
shout.
also have two sisters. I have a mother. I also have friends.
No,
but
please
you
don't
can't
bring in the
communalize
sister
it.
mother angle
You
into
can't
this.
make
It
a
means
Hindu-Muslim.
nothing.
Sorry.
None of this means anything.
God
I'm
was
sorry.
raped.
All these tricks
There was
we have
Brinda
seen
over
now.
there.
Richa wants to come in. Now bringing the mics down, guys. Please, we have to have a civilized conversation. Richa, go ahead.
How can she spread falsehood?
That has just burst my eardrums.
I
I
know.
want to say something. I just want to say something. There are women in leadership, women in high positions, CEOs, actresses, politicians. This is the time to come together and cut across party lines and look at a crime for what it is. We cannot let our society degenerate like this. Rape cannot be a normal thing, and rape cannot be something that should under any circumstances be defended. I am frankly a little bit disappointed that responses came only after it was almost impossible to delay it any further, particularly from women leaders. This is the time that we come together. This is that time. I just, and for people also, for people to realize that social media in some way is shaping discourse and becoming newsworthy and creating something that people can discuss. So for everybody that's watching it, if you know that there is organized paid trolling that is diverting us from the real issues, why cannot we get organized and voice our opinions like we have, which is why this is happening at prime time.
No,
This is not a news
I think
that
it's
should
very
have
well
been
said.
hidden for 3 months in the first place.
I think it's very well said. And you know, Pradeep, I just want to say to you that today is not the day to be shouting and saying that there was no impunity. I think it would just do your those whom you politically sympathize with better to, I think, acknowledge to acknowledge that this was a huge blunder.
Nidhi, can I please come in?
Yeah, Sushmita.
See, the questions we should be discussing on this debate rather than shouting at each other is Maneka Gandhi is proposing death penalty for rape. See, after the Nirbhaya incident, the Verma committee report came. We brought a lot of reforms in the IPC, the CRPC. The question we need to ask ourselves that doesn't matter who's in power, which party is in power and who's formed the government. But the question is, all of these laws only kick in after the incident has happened. It kicks in after the rape has happened. The question is, we need to ask ourselves as a political class or ordinary citizens of this country, that what is it we have to do as a political class and members of the society to make sure that we can prevent heinous crimes like this. So those are the more important questions. A rape happens, reforms come in, we pass these stringent laws, and then we are back to square one.
And actually, I'm out of time today. But I would like to. I would actually like to. Yeah, I would actually like to say that one of the debates that we need to revisit next week, and Vrinda and I were talking about this, is, you know, whether all this talk of the death penalty actually does act as a deterrent, whether the rape law that was passed did act as a deterrent. It's clear that it didn't. So, you know, what is it, you know, what is it that's going wrong? I'm completely out of time on this, Vrinda, today, but let us revisit this next week. Thank you to all of you for joining us tonight and speaking out on this as we continue to focus on this story. It's not over yet. We will continue to focus on this, and I'm just reading a message that there is a big protest that is being organized on Sunday at 5 p.m. at Parliament Street against both these rapes. It's a citizens' protest. It's a not in my name protest, similar to the not in my name protest that we had seen. So Sunday, 5 p.m., Parliament Street. If you live in Delhi, do come for that. See you again next week. Good night.